Welcome. I'm so glad you're here. I'm so glad I'm here and get the opportunity to talk to you today. It's going to be a pleasure to visit with you. Now, I need to have you help me figure out how to do this, will you? Plus and minus. Okay. All right, I can do that. All right. So, what does a professional organizer do? I take a space that looks like this. You don't know how many pantries I've organized. And I turn it into a variety of looks, but always organized. So we end up with something like that in this instance. I am a professional organizer. Laura asked me how I came to be this, and this is my answer. I am a firm believer it is the gift I was given from the Lord. I have one gift and this is it. It's just the way I came. And then I took some training and got some experience and opened up my doors as an entrepreneur. Next, what does an efficiency coach do? I had a woman call me a couple of years ago and say, I need you to come help me organize my family management center so that I can manage my family and my household. And I said, great. And I always ask when they call, but what made you pick up the phone today and call me? Because you've thought about calling someone like me before. What made you pick up that phone and call? And her answer was, I don't have any more space on any of my cupboards to put notes. She had taped notes around her kitchen, and all of her outside cupboard space was filled with taped notes so that she would not forget what she needed to do. So she went from looking like this to having a space like this, and we took care of all of her paper piles and her notes around on her cupboards in this little section right over there. I've done that so many times for women in Utah. I am also a small business efficiency advisor. I just recently opened my new website for that, and it's still in process right now. But I help small businesses of 1 to 5 individuals. I help them become more efficient in the way they manage their business so that their productivity increases. And the more people learn about me through that avenue, the more business I get. Nationwide, professional organizers who are efficiency coaches and professional organizers get 10 to 15% of their business in the small business world. My business is about the same. I do about 10% of my business there. The other 90% is done in residences in Utah. So, why was I invited to address you today? 7 years ago, last month, I started my business as a professional organizer. My company name is Organizing Mind Over Matter. I was called right after I started my business by a woman who was starting an online network called The Win Online, and my neighbor and friend, Kim Scoville, referred me to this woman. She called me and said, have you Googled yourself lately? I said, no. And she said, well, you should. People are saying good things, and I'd like to invite you to be a guest host for one of our shows. So I had done some presentations with someone else, and she said, let's get the two of you to talk together on air. So that's what we did. And we did that for a number of years. And for a period of time, we were the #1 professional organizing show on iTunes. So we did quite well. And it brought us people that we could help in various ways. I started my new business, Efficient Business Practices, just recently, and the new website is still having the bugs fixed on it, but it's working nicely. These are the other reasons that I have become a success. I am a recovering perfectionist. I don't believe in perfectionism. I think it slows us way down. But I am perfectionistic in nature, so I've had to learn how to do away with that and still make things excellent. I am a procrastinator because my definition of procrastination is doing something less important when something more important is waiting to be done. I do that easily because I like to get all the little things in order, all the little ducks in order before the big duck stands up and takes charge of my time. So I've had to learn how to overcome procrastination. I'm able to help my clients learn to do that as well. And finally, I'm an overachiever. I like to do what I do well. That's part of the perfectionist in me. That's why I'm here. So this is my story. I was born organized. I was born to an organized mother. How many of you came into a home where your mother was naturally an organizer? Raise your hands. Oh, that's a lot. That's more than usual. It is believed that about 10% of the human population is born to organize. So we have a little more than that here. Lucky guys. I'm the oldest of 7 children. That meant that I wanted my stuff where I wanted it, and I didn't want others to bug it. So I wanted to make sure it was organized. I was the first college graduate ever on my father's side of the family. I think that's pretty cool. And I have 3 sisters and a mother, none of whom work outside the home or have ever worked outside the home while raising their children. I have owned 3 small businesses, all of them successful, all work from home businesses. If you were to ask my children, all whom are graduates of this college here, if you were to ask them, now, did your mom work? They know now logically that the answer is yes, but at the time, they didn't realize that because I figured out how to get the work done when they weren't paying attention. So it worked really nicely for me, and I have loved having outside work. It is a real energizer for me. So whether you do or don't, doesn't matter. For me, it worked. Okay. How to have your cake and eat it too. That's the title of my presentation here today. That means you get to do what you want to do and still have time and energy for the things that are other important things. The most important thing in my life is my husband and family and my faith. And I have time for that. The other important things in my life are other things. And my small business is one of those other things. But it's really important to me. When I started my business as a professional organizer, I thought that the reason I would love doing business is because I love organizing. In fact, what I found in the past 7 years is that the reason I love doing business is because I get to build a business. That has been so fun for me. I can hardly wait to jump out of bed and get going on what I'm going to do for the day. It's been a real adventure, and I still love it every day. Every day. I woke up this morning at 5:45, and I hopped up, and I ran out, and I started doing stuff. It makes me happy to be able to build a business. I work in the service industry, so I am never going to become really rich doing my business because I service a client at a time. But I'll tell you how I've kind of overcome that. I've done a few other things to help with that. This is my family that you see up there. This last Thanksgiving, we did the Winterton Family Olympics up in Park City and did some of the major stuff that the real Olympians did as a family. It was really fun to go up there and do that as a group. I have 3 young grandchildren. You can see them right down here in the bottom picture with myself. I tend those 3 little boys. They're the only 3 that I have so far, and I tend them once a week at my home. I make sure that I have time for my family, and I work my work around the open spaces. It's worked really nicely for me. That's one of the main reasons people become an entrepreneur. Okay, I'm going to share with you today 3 important things that I've learned as an entrepreneur in the service industry. And these are they. Point number 1, you need to dream big, and then you need to match that dream with action. I am more an action person, not so much a dreamer. So for me, I've kind of gone the other way around. But most people are dreamers, and then the action follows. So that's what you need to remember to do, is to follow your dream with action that will make that dream a reality. The benefits of owning a home-based business, what do you think those would be? The benefits of owning a home-based business. Come on. Yes? You're your own boss. Yeah, that's a big bonus. Great. Anybody else have another? Yes? Excellent. My husband and I own, with part of his family group, 3 commercial office buildings here in town. So I know what people have to pay for rent. If you rent it out of your home, you don't have to worry about that. Yes? A fluctuation of time. Excellent. And that's the reason that I've done 3 small businesses from my home, so that I could fluctuate that time and have it available when I wanted it. Now I'm going to share with you a secret that most people your age don't know. The dream of entrepreneurship is spectacular. The reality of entrepreneurship is this. My husband is an entrepreneur also, and the work is never done when you're an entrepreneur. You don't get to close the door at 5 o'clock and go home and be done with the work for the day, because your work is right there with you if you work from your home. So flexibility of time is a really nice bonus, but in fact you've got to be able to set limitations on time, or it will just envelop you. Any other ideas as to the benefits of a home-based business? No? Okay, you've touched on the big ones. So according to Forbes magazine in the year 2011, 55% of the people that were entrepreneurs went into the business so that they could have flexibility, as was mentioned. More free time, more family time, and 30% of them went into the business because they didn't have to pay for office space. They didn't have to pay for gas or a car to commute. So you're a smart group. You touched on both of those. So how did dream big then match with action work for me? I was an active parent in the school systems. I came through this very school, BYU, graduated in the year 1978, got married a few months later, was a school teacher for a couple of years, and when I started my family, I quit teaching school. I was so sad to quit teaching school. I loved teaching school. But when the time came for me, when my youngest child was in kindergarten, I had always planned to go back. I had a few principals call and say, Vicki, would you like to come and apply for this position that we have open? And I decided, nope, I want to pick my own hours. I want to be in charge of what I do. I don't want someone else telling me that. I am an entrepreneur in spirit and didn't even know it until that time. So I was actively involved in the schools as my children were growing up. PTA president at the grade school where they went. PTA president at the high school where they went. Involved all the way through. And when my youngest child, who is now a master's degree graduate from BYU, when she graduated from high school, I couldn't be involved in the PTA anymore. I'm a believer that it should be the people who have children there that should participate. So I stopped doing that, and I didn't work my other part-time job that I was doing any longer. We didn't need the money anymore. We had become successful. And I went through about 2 months of that before I thought to myself, I got to have something that makes me want to hop out of bed each morning and jump up and be excited about what I get to do for the day, because it was my husband and I. We are clean people, and what was I going to do all day long? So I started, I wondered about what that would be, and I was watching an Oprah show in the afternoon, and there was a specialist on talking about you will be great at whatever you do if you do what you are passionate about. And I took about 2 weeks trying to decide what I was passionate about. And one day, after thinking about it for about 2 weeks, it came to me, oh my gosh, you are a crazy woman, because you are one of those weird people that loves to reorganize a utility closet. And I realized that I was made to be an organizer. So I started my business. And I started it expecting that word of mouth would be the way that I would progress forward in work. What I didn't know then that I do know now is that I hadn't done my research. And people who hire a professional organizer do not want their friends and family to know that they have hired a professional organizer usually. So word of mouth is not a great way for me to get business. So I attended a women networking meeting here in the Valley, and one of the presenters was someone from Orange Soda, a search engine optimization company. And I'm not afraid of asking for what I want. So I stood up after the meeting and I went up and I said to her, Janet, I'm a professional organizer here in the Valley, and I have realized that I need a website. Would you be interested in helping me with that? And she said, no, I don't want to do that. I go to work all day long. I don't want to do that. And I said, do you need any professional organizing done? I can trade services with you. And she said, no, I don't want that. And I said, have you got something new coming up in your life that it might be really helpful to have me come in and help you with organizing some of your spaces? And she said, well, I'm going to get married. And I'm marrying someone who is very good at organizing. There it was. Oh, you want to go into that marriage ready to live with this person who is an organized individual. And we traded services. So I got a website, never knowing that I would even need a website. And I get now 90% of my business comes through website referral. People that visit my website or find me online. I dared ask for what I wanted. Okay, that's how my business started. So dream big and then act. You need to keep realistic expectations. I decided a few years ago that I was going to do ancillary products. That is something other than the main thing that I do in my business. And I figured out how to design really cute little pages and put them together with great information and step-by-step instructions so that then I didn't have to be right there working with people. It is believed, as I told you, that 10% of the human population is born organized. It is believed that 40% of the human population can learn to be organized if they read really good, detailed information. They can organize themselves. And it is believed that another 40% have to have side-by-side help, someone right there with them, for them to learn the steps and figure it out. Well, I was already taking care of the 40% that needed somebody right there with them to do it. But I wanted to help the rest of those people with all the research that I was doing. And I wanted to give them an option to do it for themselves at a really minor cost. So I started with some ancillary products. I now offer about 10 of those in the things that people most struggle with. And last year, those products sold from my website brought me 10% of my total income for the year. That was the first year I had them, was last year. So it was worth doing for me because it's the very same stuff that I designed and take to my clients for them to have as we work together. This way, 40% of the population that comes to my website that really can do it on their own can do it with these pieces that I offer them. Keeping realistic expectations has to do with my project manager over there. And by the way, the little things that have helped me, the project manager and some others that you'll see, are free on my website for you for 3 days. So if you'll go to efficientbusinesspractices.com, you are welcome for the next 3 days at your convenience to go and download those if you think they're useful to you. I decided I had to figure out a project manager so that every time I did one of these sets, I didn't have to figure out how to start again, move through it, and finish it up. So I designed a little form, and I use this with my business clients all the time, my small business clients, for them to process through a project. Okay? Keep realistic expectations. Dream big, then act. I've told you that I'm a procrastinator, naturally, because I like to get all the little stuff out of the way, and that I'm a perfectionist who has learned to overcome perfection. And so I had to decide I cannot wait for perfection. Excellence is good enough. And that's the way it stands for me. Persistence trumps talent. I told you about my website and how I conned Janet into trading services with me. That worked very nicely for me, and she and I keep in touch. Well, let me go just a little further first. My website is the way I allow people to find me now. Dreaming big, SEO expertise. When I started 7 years ago as a professional organizer, I had barely become proficient with internet usage. I just didn't see it as a great, valuable opportunity to know how to use search engine optimization and internet possibilities. I was kind of dumb. I know now that it is a huge deal. So I took some classes on search engine optimization, and I taught myself through trial and experience how to make things work. And I'm going to read to you a journal entry that I entered into my journal the week of, let me find it here, the week of September 16th, 2012, so about 6 months ago. This past week, I looked to see how I ranked in a Google search. I don't do that very often, but I do it every once in a while to see how I do. One day I came up fifth in a worldwide Google search. The next day I was 4th. The next day I was 2nd when I used the word organize. Not organizing, not organized, but organize. Brought me to number 2 in a Google search the week of September 16th, 2012. Now, I paid attention to why I had gotten ranked so high, and I know how to do that now. So if it's important for me to have a really high ranking at a specific time, I know how to do that. That's pretty good for someone who 7 years ago didn't even believe that really understanding how to use the internet was very important. I love that I get to learn and grow and become better at the things I understand. I finished that entry with, I feel like that is pretty spectacular. Yahoo! Exclamation point. And that's how I felt. So I became a search engine optimization expert. And the Google ranking proved that to me. Okay. Point number 2, you need to plan wisely in your entrepreneur endeavors or business endeavors. You'll want to define your business model. You'll decide where you're going to find your clients. For me, that's the internet. And you're going to decide how you're going to find those clients or how they're going to be able to find you. For me, that was search engine optimization. I do lots of presentations as well, and I've had a number of referrals. It's rare that I give a presentation anywhere that I don't gain a client. I almost always gain a client. So it's worth it for me to do that. That's how you define your business model, where you're going to find your clients, and how they're going to find you or you're going to find them. Plan wisely. Don't reinvent the wheel. Research your competition. For almost every way that I've moved my business forward, I've researched what other people in my same sphere of work has done. You can find the successes by Google rankings. You can find the people who are successful at what they do by Google rankings. And then you watch what they do and how they go about doing it. So I started with my own little business. And then I started my podcast, which brought me some notoriety, quite a bit of notoriety. Then I moved into team organizing. So if someone wants to get a big job done really quick, I am one of the very few organizers in the state. In fact, I'm the only one I know of that can bring in a team of organizers to help get that done. I made what I offer a little bit different. I offered a video session. So for people that are pretty good at doing what needs to be done, if somebody is right there telling them exactly where, right here in this corner, you're going to do this, and these are the products you use, and this is where you buy those products, I offer a video session for those clients. It takes me about 5 hours to put that video session together, to do everything that needs to be done for that video session. And I make double the amount that I make on an hourly rate. So I figured out a way to meet some people's needs that way. I, at times, have a BYU intern who works with me. I don't have one right now. If any of you are interested, I have a BYU intern work with me sometimes, and you're welcome to apply if you are interested in that. It is a non-paid internship. This is why. I allow my intern to be trained and experienced by the time she leaves her work with me. There are 2 professional organizers in the state who are trainers, and they charge $2,500 and $3,000 for their training. My training is free, and their classes are 1-week classes. Mine go over a semester's period of time, and you get to actually go in and work beside me, so that the intern gets to go in and work beside me so that they can learn. So I have expanded my business to allow someone else to gain benefit from the knowledge, all the hours that I've put in. And finally, I started with my products, my ancillary products, and I started those. I do 2 binder kits. I started with those nearly 2 years ago. Last year I started my downloadable products, and as I said, that brings me about 10% of my total yearly income. So this is how I've moved through my business. But I did it by seeing how other people did it rather than starting at zero. Don't ever start at zero. Watch and see how somebody else does it, and then alter it and make it your own. Those are my downloadable products. Okay, plan wisely. So for me, for when you get ready, you'll want to define your ideal client. I teach a class through the Small Business Development Center here in Utah Valley. And in that class, this is one of the main things that we focus on. It's a marketing class, how to market your business. And I teach them that they have to define their clients. So for me, my ideal client is female. That makes sense, doesn't it? And I will tell you this. In the small business realm, the ideal client is also female because men don't usually know that they need the help. It's true. Women do. Women know, in my experience, when they need help. And so they call and ask for help in both varieties. So my ideal client is a female. The age is 40 to 60 years of age, so about my age. I'm 56 years old. And most of my clients fall within that range. Now, I worked just last month with a freshman up at the University of Utah and helped him organize his dorm room. So I've had clients as young as freshmen in college and as old as a couple who are preparing to move into a retirement center and needed somebody to help them downsize. They're 85 years old. That's my range. But everything that I market to is age 40 to 60 because that's my ideal client. Do I know what their socioeconomic level is? Yes, I do. I market to people that have a socioeconomic income level of about $100,000 a year and an education of at least some college. That's my target client. Kids at home? Yes, ideally they'll still have a kid or two at home. Older children, not younger children, but older children, because that means they finally have time to recognize that they can live a little better life. They're not overcome with everything it takes to care for young children. And are they employed? Typically not, but I still find employed individuals. But the person that I market to is typically, the woman is typically not employed outside the home. And other things that are important there. So when you get ready to figure out your ideal client or customer, you need to figure those things out for yourself. And that's exactly who you market to. Now I'm going to tell you really quickly about a few of my recent clients. By the way, the names have been changed to protect the innocent. So this is just really quick. I'm going to grab a couple of these. Erica is a special needs individual who has 3 degrees. She is a CPA, she is an electrical engineer, and she has her law degree. She is a well-educated woman who was recently diagnosed with ADHD and dyslexia. Can you imagine going through school getting all 3 of those degrees with ADHD and dyslexia? She's an amazing woman. I worked with her last Saturday because she was moving from Utah Valley to California to the Silicon Valley area to work with a big company there. And she needed some help getting rid of the stuff she didn't need any longer. ADHD makes it hard for people to organize, usually. And she needed help in downsizing so that she could move easily. So she is not my ideal client, but she found me anyway because I marketed to my ideal client. The freshman that I helped up at the University of Utah is male. He's younger than the age I go to. He doesn't have the income I market to. But his mother found me from back east and called me to go and help her son. So my clients rarely fit all of those needs, but they fit some of those needs. So I make sense to them. Okay, point number 3, time is your greatest asset. Most people think money is as they begin a small business. I started my business with no money at all. Remember, I traded for my website. And I started my business with no money needed. And I now am this year, I'm taking my family on a cruise with the money that I've earned the last couple of years. So you don't have to have a lot of money for a small service business to work for you. Time is your greatest asset. Gear your efforts to the work invested in relation to the results that you're going to get. Make sure that if you're going to put a lot of time into whatever it is that you do, that your results are going to bring you the benefit you're hoping for. You'll want to analyze and track. This also is a freebie on the website I gave you. It's a weekly time map. So when you get ready to start your own small business, you'll want to track how you're spending your time in business, and then you'll figure out how to best spend your time that you have available. This is a old schedule, but it's the way I used to run my business. And you can see that I did marketing and product development right here. I did work with clients right here, work with clients right here, and administrative work stuff right here. Other stuff is family and friends and church, all the other stuff that takes up time in our lives. But I grouped together my time to spend on business so that I could be most efficient and effective. And that's what you'll want to do. But you do that by analyzing and tracking what you're doing. Is there balance for the woman or man with a family? I think balance is nearly impossible to achieve. I am not a believer in balance. I try to get my clients as close to a balanced life as I can. I believe more in a rhythmic stability. Think of a trapeze artist. She swings back and forth from family to work to church to whatever. And she swings back and forth. And rhythmically, she lives within her time that she has in a 24-hour period of time. So, do I believe in balance? No. But I do believe that you can rhythmically do nearly everything you need to do and still work. So there you have it. Dream big and then act. Plan wisely and realize that time is your greatest asset. Now, this is my gift to you because so many of you want to be entrepreneurs or small business owners. I'm going to share with you some important stuff that I share with my small business clients. Okay? So I'll share with you 7 efficiency power tips, and these are they. Number 1, have a solid daily routine. And when I say routine, I'm not talking about jumping out of bed, brushing your teeth, hopping in the shower, combing your hair. I am talking about when you begin work in your small business, you will take 5 minutes at the beginning of the day to look over what you've got planned and revamp that. So design how you would like your ideal day to run. And then every hour, this hourly idea is not mine. It came from another efficiency expert whose name I don't remember right now. I've read a zillion books. But 1 minute every hour, you'll stop yourself and say, am I using my time most effectively right now? And if the answer is no, then get back to what you're supposed to be doing. And a 5-minute closer at the end of your day. And in that closer, you're going to define your top 3 priorities for the following day so that you know what has to be done, priority number 1, what needs to be done, priority number 2, and what should be done, priority number 3. Routines. Next, you'll switch to autopilot. When you first learned how to drive, you had to think of every action for it to happen. Now that you know how to drive and have done so for quite a period of time, you're running on autopilot. And routines allow you to do that. Routines allow us to live much of our life without having to think about it. That's helpful. Number 3, plan. And this quarterly planning guide is on that website for you if you're interested. It's planning time for your relationships, yourself, your home, and your career or community. Now, I think the one I posted on the website deals with all business things that are the 4 parts of a business that are important to plan for. But you can substitute these if you would like. Number 4, I play the piano. I was a music education minor here at BYU when I went through, and my instrument is vocal and piano. And a keyboard has 88 keys. If you were to play all 88 at the same time, it would be a disaster. It's picking and choosing the keys that you want to play that makes a beautiful melody. That is how business success happens, and how life success happens, is prioritizing what you want to have done, and then doing those priorities. You'll want to schedule simply. This is the way I schedule my life. Very simple. Whether you're digital, whether you schedule digitally, many people do. I just prefer paper. Or whether you schedule by paper, do it simply. This is the way I schedule. Every day I have broken the day into 3 different divisions, morning, afternoon, and evening, and I pick a priority for each of those time periods. And I fit a priority into those time periods so that each day I accomplish 3 priorities. Now, there are some days that I accomplish a whole bunch more than that. Most days. But at least my priorities get to be on my schedule, which means I pay attention to them. You're going to plan, prioritize, schedule, and then you're going to honor your appointment with yourself. Show up and do what needs to be done. And number 7, the American Psychology Association did a study in the year 2011, and they brought in lots of people, did this study, and asked them what they did to distress their lives. How do you reduce stress? And the answers were what? Call them out. What do you do to reduce the stress in your life? Eat. What else? Say, call them out loud. Sing. Good. What else? Yoga. Come on. Exercise. What? Sleep. There was something over here. Read. Okay. So you've got different ways that you're doing that. What they found in their study was that participation in religious activities, enough sleep, and exercise were the top 3 ways to actually reduce stress in a life. So figure out something that works for you. I thought this was interesting. This was figured last year and reported in Real Simple magazine. $113,000 is the yearly income of a woman, including the overtime she puts in. So if she was paid for her work, she would be earning about $22.94 an hour for the time that a mother puts in caring for a family. That's about what I earn an hour. I charge more than twice that, but there's administrative stuff that has to be done to build a business. So I'm not going to get filthy rich doing what I do. Why do I do what I do? Because it makes me so happy. I believe that helping people live an organized life is an eternal principle. Organization is eternal, and I believe that I make a lasting change in their life. That's why I do what I do. All right. Any questions? Yes?
What's the largest project you've ever had to do or organize?
Oh, good question. I am right now working with a woman who is a hoarder, and I started with her last year, and we've organized most of her upstairs area. It's taken us nearly a year to get that far, working with her twice a month, and we now have the downstairs that we're ready to begin on. Good question. He asked, oh, by the way, he asked, what's the biggest project I've ever worked on? Any other questions? Okay. I challenge you to live a life that is worthy of a smile and enjoy whatever it is that you choose to do, no matter what it is. Thank you for being here today. It was a pleasure.